You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Thank you so much for joining me here today on this Motivation and Mindset Monday. I'm excited, as always, each and every Monday to hopefully help you get this week started off right. And if you ever need in the future, come back, listen to these episodes to get yourself really just, invigorated and revitalized and looking forward to a better future. Because I'll tell you, each and every one of us have bad days. Sometimes we have bad weeks, and hopefully they don't turn into bad months. But here's the deal. We all have them. We really do. I remember just last Monday, we literally went live with our brand new site. And I can't even tell you, it was, as they say, Murphy's Law. There was so many different things that we had to fix. But I told my team, listen, today's not going to be the best day. It hasn't started off great. But what we're going to do is we're going to work hard to be able to fix the specific issues. And we're going to make sure that it just doesn't happen again. These things happen, no big deal. Let's fix it. Let's then move on from there. So it was one of those days where I knew that I needed to listen to my own Motivation and Mindset Monday, that I had to take my own medicine essentially and really put it into practice. So what I want to do today is I love this topic. And this topic essentially comes from one of my favorite books, of course, The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. And what it's called is the Rule of Five. A lot of people don't know this, but their book, Chicken Soup for the Soul, obviously it's sold, I think, well over 10 million copies now, 39 different languages. Pretty impressive, right? But their book actually did not become a bestseller and go on to have the success that it really is allotted today for over 2 years. But the thing was, they used this specific Rule of Five to become a massive success and go on to do great things. I want to share that rule with you today. I want you to understand how to use it in your own life. And I'll give you examples of how I've used it almost unknowingly for the past decade or two in order to transform my own life, whether it's body, mind, practice, all of those things. So I'm going to share that with you. Really excited to do that. But one of the things that you understand is that you always have to understand the fundamentals of every principle. Because sometimes the micro of how to do it on a daily basis or even hourly basis, it doesn't make a difference. Meaning you don't really need to know how to do that if you don't get the principle of why it works. So the very principle and the underlying thread through all of this is that if you implement 5 daily things that you simply do every single day, day in and day out, in order to achieve a goal, you will most likely always achieve that goal. Now, it might be in relationships or career or body transformation or health or spirituality. Those are my big 5. That's what I always talk about. That's kind of how I set my own goals. And I want you to create your own settings as well. And again, your relationships, your family, however you add that into your big 5, then that's absolutely fantastic. But what I look at is this. I look at the fundamental. So I'm going to share with you the nitty-gritty of these big 5. But what I want you to think of is this. If you implement 5 actions per day, they could be seconds. That's all the action might take. But if you implement 5 actions per day towards one goal, you will ultimately achieve your goal. And here's the easiest analogy that I've ever read. If you have an axe, and even if you're looking at the biggest redwood tree in front of you, if you take 5 swings at that enormous tree every single day, one day you will chop it down. Now, might it take weeks or months or years? Absolutely. It depends on how big the goal is, right? It depends on how big that redwood tree is. But what I want to do is use that crude analogy. Hopefully we're not out there chopping down a lot of trees. And if we are, we're replanting, right? Because we really do have to save this environment, this world that we live in. But here's the deal. Even if you were there with just literally a little bit of a Swiss Army knife, you could take down the biggest tree. Now, the more tools you have, the better tools you have, the faster it will come down. But you'll be able to achieve your goals. And this is kind of how I lived my life, almost unknowingly, meaning that a lot of times I didn't have the greatest mentor in the beginning. I didn't have the greatest coaches, and I didn't have the community behind me, any of these things. But with trying to find my way, trying to just literally crawl through the darkness, I've been able to find my way. And I've been able to now share that with many other people. And that's what I would like to talk with you about today. Okay, so before I go on to share with you how I've used the rule of 5, I want to share with you how Chicken Soup for the Soul and a lot of other bestsellers became bestsellers. So what Jack Canfield did and his partner, they literally said they were going to do 5 things. Here's what they were going to do. They were either going to contact 5 radio shows or give out 5 free copies of their book to bookstores, celebrities, whoever it might be. And they were going to do that every single day until they became successful. And that's what they did. And believe it or not, they did not launch with that bestseller. It took over a year and approximately 2 years to achieve their goal of becoming a best-selling book. So it's pretty remarkable when you look at it that way, that they had the perseverance, of course, but they stuck to their plan of every day trying to get on or at least contact 5 radio shows to get their message out to the world. They felt that they had an important message. They felt that their job was to share the success stories, and that's really what it is. Success stories rolled into books, whether it's for overcoming cancer or grief, whatever it might be. There's a Chicken Soup for the Soul for literally everything. And what they were doing is they were inspiring a generation. So pretty remarkable. I've used this in my own life over and over and over, this rule of 5. And one way I was thinking is like, okay, well, one of the ways that I built up my practice, now for everything, like when I first became a personal trainer, I was like 19 years old or so, 18 years old, is that I said to myself, I'm certainly not the best in the world. I literally got certified, at 18. There's going to be a lot better people out there than me. They're going to have a lot more education. I'm in college. I don't even have my degree yet. But here's what I was willing to do. Here's what I wanted to do. And it's what I believed would ultimately help me become successful. Now, this is what I did. It might not be what you do, but I want to share 3 different examples from my life that I believe at least there'll be some takeaways that you can then apply to your life in your own unique situation. So one of the things I did was to develop my practice, whether it was personal training and then nutrition, it was strength and conditioning, it was opening my first studio, it was also consulting, and ultimately opening up my functional medicine practice. So here's what I said, is every single time that I'm meeting for my appointment, I'm always going to be prepped and I'm always going to be prepared. That goes with today. If you speak with me over Skype, if we do a meeting, if anything, I'm always going to be prepped for the meeting and I'm always going to be prepared. No matter what, I'm not going to let the person down. That's basically the bottom line. And I'm always going to be on time for that meeting. And here's why. My day is very scheduled, and I realized from a very young age, all the people that I was working with, like as a young personal trainer, they were very successful. And all of them took their time very seriously. If I was 5 minutes late for an appointment, they let me know about it. Back then, I thought they were being like really a little bit hard or a little bit rude or whatever it is. Now I realize that I couldn't be late for their appointment because they couldn't be late. And the reason was that they wanted to get there full time and they had back-to-back meetings, meaning they had to get right out of the gym, showered into the next meeting because a lot of successful people are extremely busy. They take their time very, very seriously. And again, I'm not talking about just financially. I'm talking about all over the world. Successful people, they do a lot, they accomplish a lot, and they really pack up their days. So I learned to always be on time. And the other thing I did was I always greeted someone with a smile and the right energy, no matter how tired I was. So when I was personal training, I was up at 4:30 a.m., but I was also working with clients at 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, and I was exhausted. I was literally, by the end of the day, I'd already done my workout. I had been up before the sun, and I was going to bed way after the sun. And I had to make sure, though, that every single person I did a session with, they knew that their session mattered. That no matter how tired I was not going to let them see that. And I was going to give them the energy that they deserved. Now, I also realized later, and as I was going through it, if someone was having a down day, I couldn't be like a firecracker going off in their face. That's not appropriate either. But what I always did, and I always try to smile when I would greet the person because I wanted them to understand that I was grateful for my time I was about to spend with them. I was grateful for them coming to see me. And also, I wanted to make this a session that would hopefully bring them a lot of value and hopefully boost their mood at the same time. And I thought that was important because a lot of people that I saw, they were having a rough day. They were going through struggles in other areas of their life. And I wanted to try to bring a little positivity to them because I knew that always helped me a lot, especially when I saw other doctors and mentors and how they were helping me. it was the ones who were a little softer with me, who were a little gentler with me, and they smiled a little bit more that I always appreciated. So I try to learn from that and share that with others as well. And whenever I hired people, because I've hired well over 100 people in my time with developing teams, whether it's for other wellness centers, my own wellness center, or personal training studio, I always tried to hire people with the same vision as me. So that, and just over and over and over, do they have the same vision as me? No, all they care about is their ego. They care about how they look. They care about what photos they're posting on social media. For me, that didn't matter. I mean, very, very rarely did I hire someone that even had a big social media account. I sometimes, it doesn't work for me because it's not about the client. It's about look at me. Now, of course, not everyone is like that, but I'm saying that's what I always look for. And that's what I go about every single day in my life. I try to surround myself with those people who put the client first, the customer first. And the last one is I always try to provide a higher service than what people were paying for. So every single day, no matter what it was, I tried to say, okay, someone is paying this much for a particular service or product. I need to give them more than that, because the whole world is a lot of times trying to shortcut us, or they're trying to give us less than really the value that we're looking for. And so I always wanted to leave people just with satisfaction that like, hey, this was a really fair transaction or service or product or whatever. And then hopefully it was above fair. I wanted to always earn someone's trust. I wanted to make sure that they could rely on me, that they could trust me. And so every single day, my big five were getting people to understand that I really truly cared about them. I cared about them choosing whatever service I had as something to be grateful for. That's essentially it. And because of that, I was prepped, I was prepared, I was on time, I smiled, I was grateful, all of those things. And sometimes it was harder than others, because some days I didn't always feel that way. And some days the client that I was working with wasn't always my favorite. And if anyone's been in the service industry, you know that, because you just don't mesh with every single person. But what I tried to do was always put my best foot forward. And I believe that's what's always served me in life. And another way I wanted to share with you is one of the ways that I have been keeping my health, because as I've told you, that it took a while to get my health. And I did a lot of different things. And there were a lot of things that ended up healing my body. But one thing that I'm never willing to do, no matter what, I'm not willing to sacrifice it for work. I'm not willing to sacrifice my health for literally anything. It does not matter. I'm not willing to sacrifice it. Because what I've realized is that having my health has made me better in everything. Way better in friendships, meaning I have the energy to do things and just not ask for anything in return, just try to be a good friend. Same with relationships. I have more energy to try to do nice things with my family, my daughters, my wife, everyone. I just have more energy. So if I have more energy, I'm in a better positive mood. So obviously that's helpful. It's better for my team if I have good energy. So it's all about those things. And I keep mentioning energy because obviously I had Addison's disease, right? I had myalgic encephalomyelitis, which essentially you walk around with the flu every single day. Everything hurts. Everything aches. You have zero energy. I had POTS. I couldn't exercise. I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs with all my heart rate racing through my chest and my body basically just breaking into a sweat. And then, of course, the joint pain with all the autoimmune. But it's recovered, right? I fixed my gut. I fixed all of those specific things. And I never want to go back there just because I know that I'm better for everything else in my life if I have my health. So this is what I do on a daily basis. This is my 5. I follow my morning routine. Every single morning, I'm doing my morning routine. I'm doing my smoothie and I'm doing my morning movements. Literally every single day, whether I'm sick or not sick, whether I'm traveling or not traveling. Someone asked me on our Facebook group today, hey, I don't think I can bring my supplements while traveling. Well, of course you can. I literally bring my little supplement box and my shake powder everywhere I go. It's a non-negotiable. It's my rule of 5. It's just what I do. I'm not going to change no matter what, whether I'm traveling or not. And the reason is that's what's keeping me having abundant energy. That's what's keeping me healthy. And people say, oh, well, it's okay for a day or two. Sure, it's okay for a day or two, but that's a slippery slope. That is a slippery slope when you're saying, oh, well, okay, this day is okay, that day is okay. Next thing you know, 1 or 2 days a week becomes 2 or 3, or it becomes more often every month. And I'm just not willing to do that. I know it works and I stay in my rhythm. I stay in my routine so that if I have a cheat meal later in the day, well, I've already got my morning down pat, right? So it's really, really important to me. That's number 1. Number 2 is I pre-plan all of my meals the night before. I don't make all of my meals. Of course, I make my smoothie in the morning, but most of it's frozen stuff. It's frozen blueberries in the refrigerator. I try to have some fresh spinach that I might throw in it. I might have some ginger. I might have whatever, but no matter what, I have frozen blueberries in the refrigerator. I have water I can add to it. I have my daily nutritional support powder. I have my daily fruit and vegetable blend. I really don't need anything else, but I'll add in all the extra superfoods when I have them. But no matter what, that's pre-planned. All right, what is lunch? Well, lunch, no matter if I'm traveling, I'm always on the airplane looking at all the healthy organic restaurants that I might be able to go to. Usually they're just grab and go, but it's right there and I can grab it. For lunch, whether I'm out or not, I know that I can get a pretty good healthy meal. Most restaurants will serve fish if I want to get fish, or that might be my cheat meal, but I'm always planning that. And then I always have a snack with me as a backup. Like literally that's it. I have a healthy bar or have something always as a backup. I don't usually, I'll tell you, sometimes they literally deteriorate in my bag and I just have to throw them out, but I always have that backup with me. And that's because I want my energy and I don't want to skip a meal if I don't need to, okay? Because I want to keep my energy high. I don't eat all throughout the day, but I make sure that I do eat 3 good meals per day, okay? And sometimes I do that afternoon snack, depending on energy and et cetera, et cetera. So number 3 is this. I exercise based on my energy reserves, okay? I try to move my body daily. I'm always walking. I always do my morning movements. But every day, my rule of 5 is this. I try to get in 4 workouts per week, okay? Try to do 4 good workouts per week. That's my goal, okay? Sometimes it's 5. Oftentimes, it's 4. Like, that's pretty much how it goes. And then I'm very active on the weekend. Meaning, like, I try to get a weekend workout, but if it's simply being active with my family, well, then it's active with my family. And I'll get in my Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. That's the goal, right? And then again, like, I try to get an outdoor workout in there. Again, like in the summer, I'm at the beach with my family. Like, I'm being active. But I would love to get out there. I would love to do stand-up paddleboarding. I would love to go out for an outdoor swim. I'd love to go for a run and a bike, and oftentimes I do. But I'm not going to beat myself up about it if I'm spending that day, with my family. It's just, that's the way it is. And I always, though, my rule of 5 is I base my exercise based on my energy reserves. I know I have to be gentle with this body, that I've already destroyed it once in my lifetime, right? I was lucky enough, fortunate enough to be able to rebuild it, okay? I was able to rebuild it better than it was before. But I can tell you this, I will not just say, oh, I need to crush that workout for a personal best just because it's in my workout program if my body's not ready for it for the day. I'll go to the gym. I might do extra foam rolling. I might do a little lighter workout that day. I might do a yoga class. I might do a sauna. I'll keep my body moving, but I'm not going to crush my body if my energy is not where it should be. Because that's not my goal. It's no longer my goal. My goal is not to be 3% body fat on the cover of Men's Health, okay? That was a goal of mine when I was in my early 20s. I had fun with that. It was enjoyable. I want to be in great shape, but I don't need to get ridiculous about it. That's mine. Again, that's on me, okay? But I wanted to share that with you. Number 4 is this. I never go more than one night, okay? This is important. I never go more than one night with less than 7 hours of sleep. This is important because there are times in my life where I'm traveling, I'm on a late flight where literally the option is this. I can spend a whole day Saturday traveling from, like I'll be down in, just for example, I'm giving you the last example, Austin, Texas. Austin does not have a good flight back to Boston. I can take one that essentially crushes the whole day. I can leave at like 9 or 10 a.m. and not get home until 5 or 6 o'clock at night, okay? So it's the entire day. And I can do that on a Saturday, or I can leave Friday around 5 p.m. and get in around midnight, okay? And if I get in around midnight, I'm going to get to bed around 1 a.m. And then my girls are going to wake me up at 6:30 a.m. or 7 a.m. if I'm lucky, right? So I'm getting maximum 5.5, 6 hours sleep. I choose to get home late Friday night so that I get to spend the whole weekend with my family because I just have a rule that I try not to travel more than once a month or stay away from them for more than a couple days, and I try to be home for the weekend. So that's what I choose to do. But again, then that next night, I'm going to make sure that I get that at least 7 hours of sleep. My goal is always 8 hours. Sometimes it's 7.5, depending on what's going on, what's happening. And of course, sometimes I get woken up during the night because I have 2 little kids. It happens. But again, if I'm in bed, I'm in bed. So that's a rule of mine. Number 5 is this. I always take my supplements and I don't overeat, okay? I make sure my supplements are basically, I keep it easy. I have these little baggies. I just keep it in my pocket. That's it. I have extra ones at my desk at work. I have extra ones when I head to Maine. I have some in Boston. I keep it easy. I keep it literally like brain dead, super easy that I don't have to think about it. Like you don't want to have to think about these things. That's my rule of 5. Like literally my morning movement, my morning routine. I kind of preset my meals, always have a snack with me. I exercise based on my energy reserves. I don't go more than one night in a row, which means I never go 2 nights with less than 7 hours. Why? because I don't want to exhaust my body. I'm trying to keep this body healthy. I'm trying to keep it healthy because I know that if I have my health, I have everything in life. I can do everything that I want. I take my supplements and I don't overeat. That's important, all right? Why? My supplements are a fail-safe. That's what ultimately helped me to get well. My digestive capacity was so weak, I couldn't break down food. I was bloated from everything. I had candida overgrowth. I had SIBO. I had H. pylori. The candida was so bad, it was growing up my esophagus into my mouth that, like, literally I was a mess. So I couldn't digest anything. So I met my mentor, and she's like, listen, your gut is a mess. You have methylation issues with your genetics. You can't absorb anything. You're trying to do this through whole food nutrition. You're not getting anywhere. You're exhausting your body through all of this food that you're trying to consume. Do this. And I did that, and I got better, right? Like, I mean, there was a lot that I did. I worked on my mind, but the de-stress protocol and the rain barrel effect, in my book, I teach you exactly how I got well. Like, that's how I got well. That's what I teach people today. It's the accumulation of decades of knowledge, and that's what I want to bring to you. The rain barrel effect is literally what I do in my practice and how I help people get well. 100% of all profits go to charity. That's, the bottom line. My bottom line is I try to give all the information away. I want you to have that. But the other part to this is, let me get back to my rule of 5, is I don't overeat. I just don't overeat. Why don't? Even if I love the food, even if it's a cheat meal, okay, I'm eating, I'm enjoying it, and I might have dessert, like that might be part of my cheat meal. But what I'm not going to do is pack my stomach. Why? You get a poor quality of sleep, right? Your lymphatic system's congested. I wake up swollen. It looks like I got into a fight the night before. And my energy, it feels like I have a like literally a hangover the next day, even if I don't drink alcohol, because I've exhausted my body because I've eaten so much food. And really, like, I've just, again, worn down my body, like, taxed my liver. Why do I need to do that? I can have cheat foods. I can have cookies. I can enjoy whatever it is that I want to enjoy, but I don't need to pack it in there, okay? So I eat a good amount of food. Don't get me wrong. I'm eating a good amount of food, but I'm literally not going to feel like I need to lie down after the meal. Like, that's not the goal. That's no longer the goal. How did I get to that goal? Well, I did everything wrong first, right? I would always do that, be like, oh, that was so delicious. And then I would feel terrible, right? So that's not the goal. The goal is always to enjoy the meal, but really enjoy the company. I prefer that rather than the food itself. Okay, I want to give you one more example before I tie everything together. I hope this is helpful. I'm trying different things with the podcast. Like, so right now in today's podcast, I've never done this before. I'm giving you real life examples of how I use my big 5. Like, you don't try to do a million things. You try to do 5 things that always keep you on track on a daily basis. So I hope that this is helpful. Now, for my content, for my podcast, for my writing, really simply, I'm going to give it to you this straight. This is what I do. I write or record every single day. In my calendar and in my schedule, there's only one day that I don't, and that's Wednesdays. Every single day, I'm recording a podcast or I'm writing. Why? It makes me feel in tune and energized to deliver this content. And at the end of the show, I want to share with you an amazing little anecdote of what you can do with the power of daily consistency. So every single day I do that. I mean, guaranteed, never more than an hour. That's it. Never more than an hour. Why? I can record 2 podcasts in an hour. I can write 5 pages in an hour. Like, there's a lot you can get done. All right. The other thing that I do every day, my podcast, my writing, my videos, my content, is to speak my truth. I speak my truth, and I don't worry about the judgment of others. So I just speak the truth. I speak the truth of what I've learned. I try not to be biased, and I try to give it just literally straight. Like, hey, this is what I found. This is what I see work. We've done hundreds of thousands of consultations. This is what we see work in the real world. You might not agree with it, but this is the truth of what I see, okay? My opinion, but it's also the truth of what I see. And I'm not afraid of what other people will say. Some people don't like naturopaths. Some people don't like people that talk about Ayurvedic medicine. They don't think that it's like state of the art or whatever. Some people don't like nutritional supplements. Some people don't like the sound of my voice. They don't like my accent. They don't like whatever. That's okay. Like, I'm free from that judgment. That's their opinion. And to be honest, it says more about them than it does about me. Because I'm just here trying to live my truth. That's it. And that's what I ask of you as well. The other thing is, my number 3 is I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid of being who I am and showing any quirks that I have. So I talk the way that I talk. I act the way that I act. Sometimes I'm intense. Sometimes I'm goofy. Like, sometimes I'm literally like a nerd where I just spit research. Like, but that's who I am. I have a lot of different sides to me. And it's almost frenetic. Like, it's all over the map. I have many different personalities. I can be very, very intense, and I can be very, very focused. And then sometimes people don't know what to make of me because I'm joking around half the time. And they're like, wait a minute, like, is this a joke? Is this not a joke? Is this who you are? It's not. And then a lot of times I just want to be by myself. I want to be reading my books. I want to be alone. And then oftentimes I want to be on stage speaking and then being with a group and a community and crowd of people and really just getting to know them and answering their questions. So I'm not afraid of any of those things. I express who I am and I allow that to come through. Some people will connect with it. Some people won't. This goes along with my fourth. My fourth thing is simply this. I try to inspire others. I'm trying to inspire others to understand that there's always hope and that who they are is enough right now. Like, you don't need more than you are right now. You'll never need more than you are right now. You can want to be more. You can try to get that certification, the education, the meet the right person. But if you don't, like, you're still okay. Like, everything is still good. And that's why I truly believe that no matter what, whether you're sick or whether you haven't lost the weight yet, first of all, there's hope. There's someone just like you out there, and they achieved that goal. So you can follow in their footsteps. But even if you don't, like, it's okay. Like, you are okay. I want you to get healthier. I want you to lose the weight. I want you to become the best version of you. But at the same time, you have to understand that you're going to be okay no matter what. And that's what I want to get across to people. And my fifth one with my writing, my podcast, my content is to have a little fun. Is that, like, literally 2 years ago, I'm just like, you know what? I've really been pushing so hard for so long, whether I'm trying to get a message through, whether I'm trying to open this big wellness center and practice, whether I'm trying to just make sure that I'm, like, just trying to do everything right by my family, by all of these things, that it's like, you know what? I need to breathe. I need to have a little fun. And I need to convey that in my work as well. So, hopefully today, like, I'm being serious. These are serious topics. The Cabral concept doesn't really talk about, just like things about joking around. Like, that's not any of these shows. But what it is, it's at the same time, even if we're talking about the worst of the worst diseases, autoimmune, cancer, like any of the diseases that we work with, right? And then we'll call them diseases of the body. What we're trying to do is have a little fun at the same time. We're trying to show the human element, that if we don't have a little fun, that if we always take ourselves so seriously, and that if we can't add a little playfulness to our life, honestly, that is the way that we can become sick. So what I try to do is I try to share that in all of my shows. I hope that this was helpful. Again, I never know if it is, because it's the first time I've ever shared things like this. So let me know. Just literally go to Instagram or the Facebook group at cabralsupportgroup.com. And on Instagram, it's just my name, Stephen Cabral. Let me know. Was this helpful? Was it not helpful? I would really love your feedback. And the other thing is this, like, I just love this little anecdote. For people out there who are trying to accomplish big goals, think about that tree analogy, or better yet, if you're someone that wants to share your message, like you just want to share your message, you're like, Nick, I could never write a blog or I could never write a book. Think about this. Literally, if you were to write 5 pages a day, for most people, that'll take about an hour, maybe 90 minutes maximum. But if you were to write 5 pages per day, okay, 5 pages per day, you would literally write 1,825 pages per year. Think about that. 1,825 pages per year. That is how many? 5, 6 books, right? 6 books. That's 6 books a year. That's way too much, right? So now think about it like this. So I wanted to give you that analogy because I think most people could really, they could wake up a little earlier, do it during lunchtime, before bed, whatever it is, even if you had another job. I want to go even easier. What if you were to write 1 page a day, okay? 1 page a day, whether it's an article online on an Instagram account, whether it's an article on Facebook or article on your own blog, okay? Or it's 1 page towards your future book. 1 page per day is 365 pages per year. That's a large book, right? Most books nowadays are about 200 to 250 pages. So I'm telling you right now, whether it's 3/4 of a page a day or it's 1 page a day, literally, you do that and you can accomplish great things. The problem is most of us are always looking at what we can accomplish in a day and never what can happen over 90 days, 6 months, or a year. You can accomplish so much more than you believe that you can as long as you do not become overwhelmed by the process, that you begin to breathe, that you have a little fun and look at it with a little bit of playfulness. Hopefully today's episode was helpful. Thank you so much for tuning into this Cabral concept. And as always, if this was helpful, please do feel free to share it with anyone you believe it could serve. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.